Welcome back, hopefully refreshed. Dear participants, I'm happy to introduce now our medical therapeutical panelists. That is Stefano Milani, board member of our International Doctors Association for Anthroposophic Physicians. Then Rolf Heine, head of the Academy for Nursing Professions at the Filderklinik. You see the poster outdoor, how international the nurses are worldwide spread. And then Stefan Schmidt-Troschke, a pediatrician like me. Happy to meet you, dear Stefan. And he is now a specialist and managing director of the Patient and Citizens Association, GESUNDHEIT AKTIV, but also in the European Patient Association, EFPAM. And we are very curious about integrative medicine and what role you see for the applied anthroposophy in the international development of integrative medical models. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Michaela. I'm happy to be here representing IVAA. And before starting with my presentation, I would like to share two pictures that came to me hearing the previous panel. And because I think that they match a lot with anthroposophic medicine. And when Armin was speaking about grassroots initiative with self-regulation, I felt that we really need to find the trust in human being if we want this kind of movement. So we need to find again trust in what a human being is. And what came to me with the previous panel on world of education, it is the value of the individual. So a human being as a single person with its own values. And really with anthroposophic medicine, I think that we can work in this direction. So this is my presentation. Briefly, I'd like to stay in time. I would like briefly to say what IAM is. Most of you know it very well, but we also need to speak to the one who maybe here just to understand something more of IAM. They're just curious about it. I will call anthroposophic medicine IAM for simplicity. Then I will tell you what we are doing for advocating for anthroposophic medicine and in general for complementary integrative medicine at European and worldwide level. And in the end, if we have still time, but I'm not sure, I will give you some tips on how I use it as a dentist, because I am a dentist, and I'm also a member of the medical chamber in Italy, which is both for dentists and physicians. So first, about IAM, we can say that it is based on conventional medicine, but it expands its action and its knowledge in other realm, and we can call the other realm the realm of the soul, the realm of the feelings, and we feel that the realm of the soul is not a consequence of biomedical effects, but it is on the contrary. It is the level of the soul which stands on a higher level that the hierarchies works and higher hierarchies on the lower one. And more than this, AM works also in the level of the spirits. And we do not fear to say spirits also in scientific context, because, for example, in our ethical code in Italy, but it has something common also with other ethical code for physicians in Europe, it is clearly written that physicians should give spiritual relief to the patient. So what it is, spirit. And spirit, it is a higher part of us, and with our medicine we work also on it, because we feel that the human being is composed of a physical part, but also a soul, also a spirit, and he is a being in an evolution. And this is fundamental for us, because we know that the evolution of human being is also crucial for the evolution of the world. And looking at a human being as a whole is so important also to heal what is happening around us. We need a healthy vision of a human being, so an healthy medicine, and then we hope that we may look at a healthy society. And how we look in this direction, we can face the world of higher level of what a human being is with our own epistemology. So a scientific way of thinking, of correlating thought to one another. For example, I'm citing here a book of Peter Heusser who clearly explains how we look at it in a scientific way. And how does EM works? It considers 4 levels of formative forces. You may already know it, but the first level is the word of the physical level. The second one we can call the living forces or the tech forces, which are the forces that, for example, makes a seed to become a tree. These are the living forces. Then we have another level, again, which is the level of the astral forces. And then the level of the eye, we can see it in the warmth of the human body. And if there is a disease, there is an unbalancing in these forces. We can work on it to recreate the healthy situation that has been lost. But more than this, we can look forward, and if we see that there is an unbalancing, we can work in a salutogenic point of view with our patients. And again, since human being is a being in an evolution, everything that happens in his biography, in his life, has a meaning, and also the disease, even if it may be painful, has a strong meaning. And we are looking for this meaning, and has a system, because anthroposophic medicine is a system. It's not only physician or dentist, but it's nurses, midwives, art therapists, psychotherapists, pharmacists. We as a system look at the patient as the center of our care to make with him a step forward in his life, also thanks to the occasion that a disease may offer in his personal biography. Everything began in the 1920s, thanks to Rudolf Steiner and its collaboration with Ita Bergman. Here you can see a picture of Ita Bergman in 1921 at the ELIANT Clinic. 100 of years passed, and now we are a worldwide movement with hundreds of publications, and we have more than 1,500 of trained physicians around the world. IVAA, it is the International Federation of Anthroposophic Medical Association, and our main goal is to promote the integration of IM in political and legal framework and also into the healthcare system. We have 40 members worldwide, who are the National Association of IM, and we represent the 5 continents. And we have a board and also an office here in Brussels who do the daily works here. So thanks to our office, now we have here Elisa Baldini and Nieves Patino representing the office. Our strategy, the main point of our strategy is to have a good visibility of AM worldwide. And this is very important because sometimes there may be, more than sometimes, a biased and not correct information about us by the media. So we really need to face this with a nice visibility for us. And we also look for a person-centered and sustainable healthcare. We promote integration of AM into the healthcare system, and also we work for creating a community. As IVAA, for example, we obtained in 2023 the WHO benchmarks. What does it mean? It means that the WHO recognizes our high standard of level in training in anthroposophic medicine, and not only for the physician, but for all the systems. This was an important recognition that has been used to promote AM and also to defend when it is necessary, when it was necessary. As a VAA, we are part, we co-founded the TCIH Coalition. This was an idea that arrived a few years ago, just to create a declaration and asking for signatories worldwide, a declaration asking for a respectful dialogue between traditional and complementary integrative healthcare and conventional or biomedical medicine. We had a lot of signatories, more than 300 associations of patients, scientific association. And for this reason, we participated, for example, at the inauguration of the first international center on research on traditional medicine in India, co-founded by the WHO and the Indian government. And we worked, and we are still working, on the next 10-year strategy of the WHO on traditional medicine that should be approved in this day, and we hope that it may help us in advocating at a country level for TCAM. Last one, Eurocam. It is an umbrella organization here in Brussels, based in Brussels, and then we advocate at the European level on this Okay, our action now are, for example, on the European pharmaceutical strategies, and for example, tomorrow, if you want, you can reach us. We will have a webinar on mental health promoting TCIM. So since it seems that I'm out of time, I will close my presentation, and I will pass to Rolf. The third one? Yes, but don't think it is so important. This, how can EM change the life of a dentist, for example? We know that we have the huge problem of antimicrobial resistance, and antibiotics are very important for the life of the dentist, and I really want to have them working properly in the next decades, so we need to use them only when strictly necessary. And these two, on the one on the left and the one in the upper part, which are ratania and the quartz, and silica is a part of quartz, really made the difference and make a difference every day in my practice. For example, I have a pregnant woman at the last month of pregnancy that was referred to me by his GP. She has an important periodontal abscess near to an implant, and she asked me not to use anesthesia. So it means for me not to use my hands, that are my main tools, and not to use antibiotics if possible. And it's okay. Then I used just these two together, and today we have a perfect healing of these patients without using anything. And I'm using that quite a lot. So I really feel that if we may have the right knowledge of what EM can bring to us, and if we can spread it also with conventional medicine, we can really face some of the problems that are arising in front of us in conventional medicine.
I was very happy that Armin mentioned Hannah Arendt. The main topic she brought was about the question about the evil. And after the Second World War, people were thinking that Hitler or somebody else was the incarnated evil. But she said, no, it is the everyday evil that we have to face. A bit more than 50 years before that, Rudolf Steiner started his lectures on the inner path of the inner development of the physician and maybe also the other health professionals with the question, how can we find the good? So this is what the task of all healing professions is. Maybe not to get rid of a disease, but to find a solution for those who need a solution in their life. And sometimes this is also a physical disease to overcome. Now, I want to talk about nursing. And everybody, of course, knows what caring is, because caring is not something that belongs only to a profession. It belongs to the life of everybody. But I also want to give you an insight in how nursing is nowadays in hospitals. Because you cannot imagine how it is, even if you have been in a hospital as a patient. Maybe you have the experience that, yes, there was a nice nurse, or somebody who has some time for you, or you missed it. There was one movie just published in February this year on the Berlinale. In English it's called The Late Shift. And in German, the German word is The Hero. If you want to get an insight in how nursing nowadays is, not only in Germany, but also in France, in Spain, in the US, in the UK, and even in Switzerland, which is regarded as a paradise for nurses from the German perspective. And this movie was taken in a Swiss hospital. And of course, it's like the Bolero of Maurice Ravel, if you watch it. It starts slowly and it becomes very, very fast, very dramatic. And at the end, there is a deep exhaling, so you will enjoy it really. And I want you to watch that movie from a DVD or whenever you can see it on a theater. This is the deepest point of nursing. And nursing in the history is not very old. It has some other deep points. The lack of care for people in need. And the structure of our hospitals, even the Anthroposophic hospitals, is a structure in our medical system that it is not easy to give time, which is the most essential that a patient needs. To be patient, you need time. As a patient, you need time to recover. And you need the attention to somebody to listen to you. And this is what anthroposophic nursing can, let's say, offer, or can help nurses to be educated in. How to make time, how to create time. We can create time by awareness. Not only by the awareness of our patients, but also awareness with the objects we use, with the remedies we use. And this is one of the tools of anthroposophic nursing. This is the so-called, what we call external applications. Using, for example, in the body care, the water and the light quality of the water, of the relieving quality of the water, the element of warmth, that people can open up, that people feel that they are invited to share things in a warm environment, and that we use the airy environment to get the air under the wings, under the lame wings of the patient. To use all these tools can really make a difference, even in the hurry, in the rush of the daily life of our hospitals. If we are aware in which situation we can apply it. It is not the system anymore that makes us possible to use these things. And I want to give you an example for another initiative in Baden-Württemberg, which is one of the federal states of Germany. And there is a connection between hospitals, not only anthroposophic hospitals, but hospitals that want to use so-called integrative medicine. And integrative medicine also includes integrative nursing. And in this hospital, we want that in university hospitals, that in community hospitals, that in any of these hospitals, little seeds of these, of integrative medicine that includes healing approaches from traditional medicine, from anthroposophic medicine, for the good of the patient. And the important thing is that nurses and doctors work together, that this kind of integrative medicine is only possible if all the professions really support each other. As we heard it from the agriculture, from biodynamic agriculture, that the culture of love in economy, this is the love we need as a community building among the people who work in a hospital together. And the last thing I want to bring as something that shows that the good is possible. This is an initiative I just visited 2 days ago in France, and as you know, in France it's very difficult to talk about anthroposophy and anthroposophic medicine that is regarded as a sect. And this community of nurses there work on part of, on a voluntary basis. There are many nurses around this place just coming as volunteers to give 500 treatments a year just as a solidary gesture to prisoners, to refugees, to handicapped people who cannot afford any therapy. And the target is not to heal. These are nurses, we are nurses. Our task is not to overcome a disease, but to create the possibility that healing can take place. To create the environment by nature, to create the environment by touch, to create the environment by warmth. And this house is called La Maison de Soins de Chaleur, the house of caring warmth. And I wish that we, wherever we work in the medical field, that we can create spaces and places of warmth, where the individual approach to serve, to heal out of the human encounter, to make healing possible out of recognizing, out of acknowledging the individual. There's a beautiful saying what nursing is. Nursing allows the sick to be ill. We make it possible that people who are ill can go through their journey, make experiences. May they lead them to health or lead them to death, according to their biography, to their destiny. But to make the experience that this being on earth, this going through a disease, was a relevant experience in their life. Thanks.
To make it short, I'm a pediatrician. What do I have to do with patients? When I was 50, I thought I know everything about patients. But I was in charge of a new organization taking care of patients and their interests and how to do this. And I thought, well, you know everybody because you know everything about that because you have them in front of you. But I noticed I know practically, well, I know a bit, but I know little about the real perspective about patients. And that was really interesting. So when I started with our NGO in Berlin, being in charge of patients interested and in favor of anthroposophical medicine, we made a questionnaire and we asked our members, what do you think? Please tell us your health story, your story of health. And that was very interesting for me to discover that this story of their health was different to the story I always took as a even anthroposophical doctor. It was a different perspective. The perspective changed because patients and citizens have a different perspective towards health than I, as a doctor, have. And I practically discovered that I practically know nothing about health. I didn't learn anything about health in university. And even as an anthroposophically trained doctor, I had the feeling it's really broadening the perspective to look from the perspective of patients. And so it's very interesting that Rudolf Steiner, he was talked about today quite often already. He already said, well, we need to democratize health and the system very early, 100 years ago, only imagine. He saw the patient being equal in a way to the professionals, to the healthcare professionals. But what does that actually mean? What does that mean, bringing the patient really on an eye level to the healthcare workers? And this, I think, is the most difficult question. And that's why I don't so much like to talk about patients. I more like to talk about citizens. And the organization I'm in charge of, FPAM, which is a roof organization for all the patient organizations in favor of anthroposophical medicine, we are also talking about patients, but I would rather like to talk about citizens, because it's about the citizens. And what we need to create in Europe, referring also to Armin, we need to create movements in order to develop a health system co-creatively together with the citizens. Because health systems and social systems, as we created them the last 100 years, they are made for the people and not with the people. And what we now face and realize is that actually people don't really feel themselves seen by their healthcare workers. They want to probably, but they in the system they are not able to really bring to take the time. And so I think we really also on the European level, we really need frameworks that empower patients and citizens to co-create health systems in Europe. This is something I want to bring to Brussels. And as we just had a big campaign for homeopathy in Germany, having, well, within a short time, gathering about 200,000 signatures for the German Bundestag, and even making the German government stopping a legislation to abolish homeopathy, we realized we are strong. We can change something about that. But we don't even need movements against something, against a government. We need movements to create a system. And this is what we are interested in, also from an anthroposophical perspective, because it's in our DNA to develop systems from bottom up. But I don't want to, you can see our big roll-up, and you can see how many organizations are all in there, and you can see that I don't want to use the time. It's much better to take your questions or to listen to your remarks. I think I stop here, and probably you are interested in putting some questions.